So this is going to be an important video if you're just getting started on the project car journey. This is all kind of new to you, or even if you've been around a little while and you have a hard time seeing projects through and getting stuff done, this might be really helpful to you. And this is kind of like a follow-up to that video we did a few days ago about staying out of project car hell. And we were talking about planning your build from the get-go and not getting sidetracked by buying parts and stuff that you don't really need. You know, purpose building your car to a vision. So this is the next phase. This is the next step. And the thing that got me thinking to make this video was comments that I've gotten on the Charger. So I'm going to read you one. And I'm going to explain, and when I do, it'll all make sense. Okay? So this comment was from DMC Daniel 3069. It says, after working in a restoration shop, it just baffles me putting that much time to paint it and not remove the chrome or door handles. Hell, even has this pentastar on the bottom of the fender. If using base clear, that clear coat will be peeling away from those areas in 2 years. LOL. I know. All right. So now we're going to explain why we're doing what we're doing. And you can see on this Charger, instead of taking this trim off, we just taped all over it. Emblems, door handles, bumpers, tail light. Why would we do that? And there is a specific reason why we did that. And that's because I build cars to plateaus, all right? And I'm telling you, this is going to help a lot of you guys. I build cars to plateaus. So what I mean by that is, when I start a project, I have a vision. I know what I want this thing to be when it's finished. But I also know the limitations of time, resource, energy, money. I know the limitations. So what I do is I like to arrive at the finished product in steps. Plateaus. A plateau meaning that you got the car to this level, and if need be, it can stay there. But you can continue on and make your improvements as time goes on. All of the cars we do on this channel are built to plateaus. And I'll elaborate on that towards the end of the video. But let's take this Charger, for example, because this Charger right now is going to its second plateau. All right. Now, when we started this project, long before the channel, my goal for this car was going to be a clean, a nice muscle car, cruiser, road trippy type of thing that you just get in and have fun, right? We had built the 68 Roadrunner before this car, and the Roadrunner went a little bit too far. It wasn't really a usable, enjoyable car. You couldn't just get in it and go, 500 miles cross country and or just cruise around with it. It was a little too far, a little too much of everything. So I says, all right, we're not going to make that mistake again with this car. But this car, we're going to keep it so that there's no special tools, no special parts. Don't have to find special fuel for it. It'll just run, turn the key, start, run, go anywhere, do anything, park it, walk away from it, and not think twice about it. That was the goal for this car, and I want to make it nice. So when we started this project, the best way I could describe this car to you is, the best word I could use to describe this car is derelict. Okay, it was a mess. It was a Contrita flood car. Now the body itself was extremely straight, rust-free. There's no rust anywhere in this car. It was all good solid sheet metal. But it had a severely crunched driver's side quarter and a bent frame rail. And I knew that this was going to be a major undertaking. This wasn't something that's just going to be done in a day. So what I did was I sought the first plateau. So the first plateau is to just get the car running and functioning. And this is important because so many people will start on a project like this and say, I'm going to blow this thing apart. I'm going to take this car completely apart and I'm going to make it perfect from one end to the other. When that happens, you're using up a huge amount of space, a huge amount of resource. Some people can do it. Some people can do it. If you've got a lot of space, you got a lot of help, you have a lot of talent, you have a lot of tools, you have friends, help, right? You may be able to do it. You can pull off a project like that over the course of, let's say, a year or two. I don't want to work that hard. So my first plateau with this car was to get it up and running, get it functional. So it had an engine in it, but the engine had been filled with water. It was seized. It was just rusty. The transmission, the same thing. The transmission had filled with water. The rear, everything had filled with water. The inside of the car, all there, it was all intact, but the inside of the car was filled with mud and sand, and just it was horrible. Okay, and the original paint job that was on the car, it had been repainted a couple of times, wasn't paint anymore. It was this chalky, peely, bubbly, rusty mess. So what I did was I set about turning it into a functional car without worrying about the looks. Okay, I wanted it to be cleaner than it was, but I wasn't going to stress details with it. Just wanted to get the car up and running. So we built an engine for it, and the engine is appropriate to the job I want this car to do. I just redid the transmission. I had put just a used transmission in it, and it was sloppy. It was driving through high gear occasionally. So I knew the transmission had to be rebuilt, but threw it in there and used it. Rear end, I changed the chunk, got that all up and going. And I got all the car's electrical working, got the car that was completely functional. And then it served an important purpose. It was one of the things that actually got us started with this channel. We did a video called How to Do a Bitch and Burnout. It was just a fun little video, but it got us a lot of attention. It got us a bunch of subs, and it really helped get this channel moving. But the car was roachy. It had reached a plateau, and I guess the plateau you'd call it is ratty muscle, right? So we had stripped off all the old paint, we put a coat of black primer on it, and we would occasionally use the car. And when we used the car, we would just take it out and beat the living snot out of it, cruise around a little bit, and then put it away. But I knew I had to start working towards the next plateau. So the next plateau was going to be to refine and repair the major damage on the car. And in this case, it was the transmission needed to be rebuilt. The exhaust needed to be rehung because it was a mess. So I needed to rehang the exhaust and make things fit just right. And most importantly, that rear quarter panel. The rear quarter panel needed to be straightened. Well, not only that, but the frame was bent. So I cut the frame, I straightened out the quarter, I worked out all of the kinks in the trunk around the tire well and everything. So now the car was straight again. I beat the bodywork in, rough bodywork. I got it kind of there, and then Bodyman Ron came in and made it really nice. And now it's time for the car to reach its next plateau. Now, here's why I stopped at this level, and I left the stuff that's on the car intact the way it is. All right. So if I had done all of the body work on this car now, blocked it, made it really nice, made it perfect, okay, and then shot a finish coat of paint on it. So I'm torn. I like this car in black. It was originally red. It would look good in red. I like gold. I like the way these cars look in gold. But if I was to shoot this car now in a finish coat of paint, all of its other imperfections are going to just jump out. They'll glare at you. So that's why I decided to go with Hot Rod Black, a flat black. The reason that all of this trim is on here, I didn't bother taking any of it off, I just taped around it, was because it fits the patina of a Hot Rod Black car and the patina of 50-year-old semi-pitted door handles and trim that's just so, bumpers. The grill needs detailing. The bottom piece of it is a little bit wavy. Both of the bumpers are just, they're rough. They're really rough. The taillights are all old and weather checked. They're faded. If I had put this car, look at this. Bodyman Ron, nice job, brother, man. Beautiful job. So if I had gone and put this car in a nice finished paint job, all of this other trim would jump out at you and it would look horrible. It would look weird. But doing it in this hot rod black, it'll all blend in. And it'll look like the car is being loved, it's being worked on, and it's a plateau. So now the car functions right, it's intact, it'll have a paint on it so that it's not going to rust through. If a bird poops on the thing, I can wash it off. You see what I'm saying? So now the car will be functional. It won't be perfect, but it will be functional and it'll be clean. And that's the plateau I've reached here. And I can just stay at this plateau. I don't have to go any further. Now, my intention with this car is to go to the next plateau, because eventually I really would like to have this car to where it's a standout, to where it's shiny, it's beautiful, it has all nice trim, nice interior, right? But I'm not there now. And if I decided to go there at this point, it would take forever. This car would be apart for probably 2 or 3 years for me to round up all of these pieces and just make it all perfect and nice. It would cost a fortune as well. I lose the use of this car. It becomes just a thing sitting in the way. That's why I've decided to go the route that I have. I'm going to reach this plateau. I intend to go past the plateau, but at this plateau, it'll be a balanced, good-looking, fun-to-use car. And that's why all of the old trim, and that's why we just taped over everything. Back in the old days, I don't see this anymore, but back in the old days, one of the telltale signs that a car was like loved, right? That somebody was like working on this thing and bringing it up, where you look at it and say, well, it doesn't really matter what condition it's in right now, but you could see that this is going to be a nice car. One of the telltales was that they would always be in primer, usually gray primer, with spot putty, red lead, spot putty spots all over it. That was the indication that, yeah, this isn't finished, we're working on it, and the car got a pass. It could look a little roachy, it could have bumpers that were a little, catty, have chrome that was half missing or pitted door handles, but it was okay because the car was under construction. It was being used while the owner was fixing it up. The little spots of red lead. You guys who are my age, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Well, that's kind of what this is now. It'll be clean, it'll look nice, it'll function, and we'll go from there. Now the next plateau, I want to get there. And that's actually one of the more fun parts of this. When you blow a car all apart and you need to replace all these emblems and the door handles and the trim and all of the things, right? To detail the car out nicely, it could be a nightmare. You end up, it becomes a business now, more like running a business than actually enjoyably building a car. But from the plateau that I'm at with this car, now comes one of the enjoyable parts. Like at this point, now I go to shows and swap meets and hit Marketplace or Craigslist or forums or whatever, and I'm going to look for all of these pieces. I'm going to look for a nice antenna base. I'm going to look for nice door handles. I'm going to look for nice 440 emblems. I'm going to look for all of the things that are going to, when this car finally does go to the next plateau and I put nice paint on it, I'll have all that stuff. And it'll be just like I'm doing now. It'll take a few weeks, a month, maybe 2 months, but I'll take all of that stuff off, scuff the car, shoot it in a nice color, nice finished color, and then when I put it back together again that time, it'll have all nice new chrome and doodads and everything else, and the car will reach its final destination. Like, for instance, I have a cherry, the tail light, it's a 3-piece tail light. It's this char on one side and then jur on the other side, and then there's a little piece in the center. I have one part of it that's virgin, but I'm not going to put it on the car because the rest of everything else on the tail lights is weather checked and faded. But I wait, and I'm looking for the other half of it. And when I find it, I'll put it on the shelf for the charger. I'll find a virgin side view mirror and put that on the side, and that's for the charger. See what I'm saying? That's when it becomes fun. It's the hunt. You go on the hunt and you find these little trinkets and you plan. Do you see what I'm saying? Build to plateaus. And like I said, every car we have on this channel is exactly that. So Slaghammer is a perfect example. Slaghammer is a car that's being built to plateaus. So my vision for this car was a 1970, like a period correct 1970-71 street freak gasser type of deal, right? So my vision for this car includes crazy custom paint job. I want all of the things. I want lace, I want endless lines, I want panels, I want fades, I want bass boat flake. I want this thing to just like crazy jump out at you like it was at the 1971 World of Wheels car show, okay? But we can't go anywhere near that yet because the body, every single panel on this body needs work. It really needs work. So as I go along, I'll find a nice quarter panel for it. I'll find, well, the trunk lid is nice. I'll find nice door skins for it. I'll find all little bits and pieces and I'll put them on the side. And then when I've got enough of it, I'll take it to that next level. It may be next year, it may be 5 years from now. Or it's at a plateau right now where it runs. It runs, it drives, it functions, it does almost everything it's supposed to do, and we're in the process of straightening out the last of it right now. I just stuck the wheels on it, little things, making little improvements, and the car is coming along. It's at a plateau, right? I can just tinker with it, and then eventually we'll take it to the next level and create the finished vision. Bottle Rocket the same way. Bottle Rocket is the same way. We got it to where it runs, it drives, it wheelies, it's within striking distance of our original performance goals with it, just several tenths of a second off. And this motor has served us well so far. But this isn't the finished goal for this. It'll still have a 318 or 318 based small block in it, but it'll have, when this car is finished, it'll have twice the power that it does right now. And I would like to put a nice paint job on the car eventually. A stock paint job. I want it to keep that sleeper look. But yeah, it'll have like for instance, the wheels that are on it. It's got steel wheels, but some of them are a little pitty and stuff. I want to replace those with nice ones. As we go along with this car, it'll just become nicer and more refined and keep going faster and faster and faster. But it's at a plateau, and I'm happy with it, just the way it is. We have fun with this car. Does any of that make any sense to you? Because you never hear anybody talk about this stuff. Build to your vision, but take it in steps. Find a level that you would be comfortable with, that you say, you know what, even if I never get to the finish line of this project, to where it's the completed thing that I have in my dream, pick levels and stages where if it just stops there, you'll be happy with it. You'll have fun with it. It won't be 100% of your vision, it'll be 75% of your vision, but it's still there, and you won't kill yourself getting there. Does that make any sense? All right, I hope you got something out of that. I'll see you tomorrow.